Well, welcome to the kickoff lecture of hermeneutics here in the spring of 2022, and I am your professor, Ergen Canner. I have some housekeeping that I've got to take care of, but given the fact that I started receiving emails from some of y'all, high-performing people, a couple days ago, what I wanted to do is give you a kickoff lecture. Most of the lectures that I'll upload, most of the lectures that you'll get from me, will have two things. One, they'll be short. I try to keep them between 10 and 15 minutes long. And two, they usually have something built into them where I say something like some key word or something, and I tell you to email me or text me back. And what I'm asking you to do when you do that is it shows me that you were listening to the entire lecture. So on this very first kickoff lecture, housekeeping if you will, I need you to do one thing. I need you to email me back here at the school, ecanner@abu.edu, 6 letters, E-C-A-N-E-R, and I want you to send me what you go by, like what's your name and what everybody calls you. For instance, I know Mark Delalio is on here. I've always just called him Pastor Mark. He and I have done Ironmans together for years, and I've had the honor of preaching for him. But secondly, I need you to send me your cell phone number. My cell phone number is 817-229-9263. I find it to be the fastest and most effective form of communication. 817-229-9263. Send me yours. I will never release it to anybody else, but I will communicate with you sometimes very quickly that way. So again, some of you are very high-performing people. You started writing and asking for the textbooks and such. I will, on the follow-up lecture, talk to you about how that goes about, but in short, in brief, I use two tools. For those who ask about Canvas, I have no clue how to use that. Still don't. And no way to do it. It just doesn't seem to be, it seems to be counterintuitive. So I usually use email, obviously. And I will email you through the ABU portal and your ABU email address, whatever I can send you. But I use two tools. One is my YouTube channels. The YouTube channels are, number one, free, and number two, designed to get us on the same page, if that makes any sense. So they're free because I don't like charging for anything, as you'll see in a minute. And two, verbally, most of us are verbal / oral taxonomy type learners, meaning we're visual. And until I could find out a way how to upload audio files onto YouTube, this is what I use, and this is what I do. The second tool that I use is Dropbox, and that's where I will upload free PDF books. I've had the honor of writing 24 in a number of languages. I have to send you that, by the way. That's part of accreditation, so you know that I'm accredited. But I will always send PDFs because I think it's just so expensive. You see all the books I have behind me, always in a state of disorder. I use a ton of them. You can't even see the ones that I have over here. But I think that sometimes you buy a book for $100 and resale value back to the same publisher is like $1. So I consider that unfair. However, I do have access to PDFs of a number of books, some very good reference works, study Bibles, holy books and such. And so what I do is I send those to you, and they're yours. I'll send you the Dropbox link that is just for us as students at ABU, and they're yours forever, and they're searchable. That's why I consider it a pretty smart idea. I consider it it seems to be a fair assessment, and that way I can be very specific as to what I'm asking you to read. Next part of housekeeping is those of you who are talking about the syllabus and what we do. This is in Block C of 2022. It started this Monday, 2 days ago, and it goes until March the 25th, which is a Friday. It's actually 9 weeks, but it's an 8-week course. We do not test you, quiz you, put up videos, whatever, for you on spring break. And spring break this year is March the 14th through the 19th, 14th through the 18th. And because of that, that's a free week. And you deserve to have a free week. But it's 9 weeks. Here's the basic outline of what I do. It's taken me a number of years, as some of our students can tell you in the graduate program. It's taken me some time to get it all together. Doing like this, I'm hoping to build the studios on the campus at ABU so that we can do what we call online flex. But on Tuesdays and on Fridays, I try to upload videos. I send you the link to the YouTube channel, and there's really no time constraint as to when you should see those. I hope that you watch those that week so you can keep up with the notes. But I can tell who's seen it and who hasn't. That's 25% of your grade. In fact, it is the attendance grade. And I really have to hammer this for some of you. I don't give homework busy work. If I give you something, I assure you, I give it to you because I hope that it engages your spiritual reflexes, that it kicks you into the next gear. What we do is unique, and the way we approach it is unique. You'll hear more about that in the follow-up lectures. But what I do is worldview, global apologetic, question-based, evidence-based Christianity. And I take that approach in every class. I take that approach in everything, even in hermeneutics, as we will see in the, like I said, in the coming up lectures. So to close this one out, to close this housekeeping out, I need to hit you with this. There will be certain assignments, but none of them will be due until the final day of Block C, March 25, which is a Friday. And the reason that they won't be due until then is because you've got a life. You have work to be done. You have things that have to be taken care of. And so I want you to enjoy the videos, but remember, this is content-based, not busy work. One of the problems I think we've had with COVID, my son being a high school junior, is that our students have learned how to turn in work, but not necessarily learn anything. It's a profound difference. Something that pastors who are now doing videos online, live stream sermons, are learning. Because just because somebody's watching the video doesn't mean they're worshiping. Especially multitaskers. When we do Zoom videos, and I'm hoping to do a Zoom video with you guys, a Zoom class, Zoom phone call on, where are we at? The 28th, on this Friday. I'm going to just suggest we do it 10 to 10 o'clock in the morning, which is Central Standard Time. But the reason I do Zoom calls is to make sure everybody's, again, doesn't have any open questions. I'm going to do Zoom calls, at least 4 of them per class, each block. And again, I again offer it to you because you may or may not be interested. I've had some where nobody showed up, and I had some where I had 30. I'm happy. The only thing I ask if I do a Zoom call with you is that you have your audio on and your video on. I don't want to see your name across the top or see the little muted sign, because that seems to be a colossal waste of time, given the fact that everything I do is verbal and orally based. So that seems to cover it. Any kind of assignments we have, with the exception of Mars Hill, which we will talk about, any kind of assignments we have will be due on the last day of class. It's my job to take care of the grading. You don't worry about that. No midterm, no final, not the traditional sense. But you will learn more in the 8 weeks with me, I pray, than you would in any other context or any other approach. Again, what we do is unique. It's only been in existence for about 30 years, the approach that we take. But we'll come back to that. I want to close out this brief lecture, which is now 9 minutes long, with 7 statements that are my guiding principle. If you have me for any other classes, you will hear me make these 7 statements many times. Because in fact, they are, I even have them here. I have one of these in the front of my Bible. There's 7 things that drive me, 7 things that are based on my approach to Christian education, my approach to Christianity in general. We begin, and by the way, this is not a piece of paper that I have uploaded to you. This is literally something I ask that you write, and write it down because I'll reference them in order. So while you're getting a pen and getting there, I'll say this. One of the great Greek philosophers said that an unexamined life is not worth living. I supplement that. And about 30 years ago, I began my journey intellectually, spiritually, by supplementing that. If the unexamined life is not worth living, I believe an unexamined faith is not worth holding. And so everything in this list of 7 is based on that. An examination of why you believe and what you believe. Number 1, these 7 statements are, as far as I can see, irrefutable. I believe that what I believe makes me what I am. That's number 1. I believe that what I believe makes me what I am. And number 2 goes right to culture. Number 2 is a tangent to that. If I believe that what I believe makes me what I am, I know that what I know is more important than how I feel. In a culture that's based on feeling, that's sort of hardcore. What I know is far more important than just how I feel. That's my faith, my walk, etc. Number 3, I'd rather have, and by the way, number 3 is a modification of a guy named Richard Feinberg. I'd rather have questions that can't be answered than answers that I'm not allowed to question. Call it the Facebook principle. If I'm not allowed to ask the question, or you're going to call me a conspiracy theorist just because I disagree with you, neither makes me wrong, neither makes you right. The important thing is I have the right and the ability to question. You ask Job. That's all he did. He didn't question God necessarily. He did question God's methods. He wanted to know why. I would rather have questions that can't be answered than answers that can't be questioned. Number 4, everything that we do is based on worldview. In the Christianity and hermeneutics, for example, nothing that God gave us was in a vacuum. God gave us the Word of God, I believe, so it would be applicable to every context and every genre and every generation. And so understanding the worldview or understanding the people around us is profoundly important. You ready? God said, go to all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. By and large, we didn't. So he brought the world to us. Your town, regardless of where you're at, even if you're in a field 10 miles from the nearest neighbor, your world has changed. In the last generation, last 20 years, my people, the olive-skinned, move here twice as fast as any other people group, except for the Hispanic. You either learn how to deal with the questions that they raise, or you become increasingly irrelevant. Churches don't choose to be monocultural, meaning just white people or black people. We don't choose that. We seem to end up there. To not be that, or not to be that, is to be intentional. Number 5, like it or not, politically correct is biblically corrupt. I hammer it. And I usually spend a good portion of my time in trouble, being yelled at or whatever. It's fine. I don't care. Being called names, literally don't care. Their opinions mean nothing to me. When I tell you that Charles Stanley, one of the greatest preachers in America, he has entire websites dedicated to hating on him by supposed Christians, I don't think he loses sleep from that. Do what you do what you're called to do, and ignore the idiots. Number 6, again, a borrowed one, but a good one. I borrowed it from Keith Green. No one deserves to hear the gospel twice until everyone has heard the gospel once. That's why we do what we do. Finally, the summation of what I do and the summation of what our school is dedicated to do. Preach, teach, reach, or shut up and get out of the way. That's it. You tell me you go deep, I'm going to ask you how many you baptize. You tell me how many you baptize, I'm going to ask how many of them did you train. Preach, teach, reach. But if you're a critic, shut up and get out of the way. Because I'd rather do it my way than not do it your way. Because it seems like there are people who are the loudest critics are the laziest. They do the least. They offer the least amount of options. Get ready for a wild journey. This is fun. I thoroughly enjoy what I do. I hope you do too. Next video is coming up.